right, a very good morning to all of us watching Look Up Television right here at the headquarters. Remember, this is courtesy of the morning news, and of course the political conversation begins right now. Later in the hours, we'll be having the Entertainment Friday right here on Look Up Television. But just to take you up to speed on what is currently happening, we are the wrestlers, of course, in our previous careers. Hulk Hogan dies at the age of 71, and of course, may his soul rest in peace. I believe for the wrestlers lovers, wanaamini kwamba this is just a traumatizing moment, and of course he shaped our times when we were watching Reso. But later on, of course, we'll be having a conversation on the by-elections right here, and of course even to understand the clear picture on the political state right in the Republic. And of course, as we discuss about that, there is a political rush, and the 2027 office rush is amidst when we are embracing the campaigns and the by-elections and the elections, of course, even as we spearhead the 2027 general elections. So much is underway, and just to understand that, there is also the conversation on the Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna and the ODM party, inclusive also of the conversation on the UDA party. We'll be having that in the next few minutes. Of course, even our guest will be helping us understand the situation on the political alignment or the political arena right here in the Republic. But before we get to the conversation, we have two newspapers, The Standard and the Daily Nation. The Standard says the dirty organ trade. That is on the headlines this morning, and says that a scaling government report has implicated mid-hill hospitals and its founder, Dr. Swarap Mishra, in a suspected organ trafficking ring. I believe, of course, our guest will be able to comment on the same. And also, we'll be having an interjection on Ndindi Nyoro, of course, Ruto gambling with the country's future in finance deals. I remember that story where there is so much projects that the president is engaged with. Also, we'll be having that alignment in the next few minutes. Also, parents to feel school fees pan after Treasury cuts funding. We'll have a conversation the same, and our best Jesus that is I believe in the economic freedom fighters, nimona kofia zenyu zinafanana, so he'll be able to help us understand that. In the midst of that, of course, there's also a conversation on Jomo Kenyatta's original betrayal inside the memoir of AEA Ekirapa. We'll be getting that across our social media platforms. But allow me to get to Daily Nation. It's still a shocking story, shocking news right here. How MP Mishra made millions in organs trade. That is in the bottom line of the Daily Nation. And of course, we're also having a very specific story in regards to the free education not sustainable, and the government now is withdrawing its support in the free education of both public, both primary and secondary schools. We'll be also getting that conversation in the next few minutes. Now, in the specific alignment of this, there is this story about Mishra, and of course says that 476 kidney surgeries under scrutiny as Mediheal faces sanctions. Wow, they say it's a good biz, but at this particular point it is not. This is the morning drift, the 2027 office rush. Why different political parties are losing key leaders. Even as we engage in this conversation, allow our guests to introduce themselves, then we can begin the conversation in the best way possible. Karibu sana.
Yes, thank you. I'm Moses Nyanduga, a student leader.
Indeed?
Yes.
Nice to see you this morning. Kiongozi?
Good morning. My name is Maobe Victor. I'm the Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Economic Freedom Fighters.
All right.
Yeah.
Of course, you always like to say that, but before we get much further, there is this spearheading story that is on the two newspapers. The Daily Nation, of course, about MP Mishra, which is now traumatizing, and many people are now scared into these alarming stories and situations. But this is one of them that have been mentioned by and is in the limelight. But there are other many stories that have not been mentioned. What will be your take on such engagements, on such transactions?
Okay, first of all, it's very sad that such happenings are happening in our country.
All right.
Without proper procedure. Okay, organ donation, I don't think, by the time I watched, there is a documentary by the DW documentaries. It had highlighted about the organ trade business in Kenya, and it was in the, I think, the Rift Valley, the Rift Valley parts of the country, where the hospital of the former MP is located. And it was very disturbing because the victims of such kind of perpetrations were actually lured into signing agreements that they never understood. And one of the agreements was that they were going to be paid a certain amount of money, in which some came out open in the media and said that they were not, the hospital did not honor the amounts that they had promised before. So the organ trafficking is still happening in the country. We saw foreigners, mostly they are sold to foreigners, and we saw foreigners come and camp in hotels in Eldoret, hoping that they will get a kidney. But the lives of those that were lured into donating the kidneys have been completely shattered. We saw stories of people donating kidneys in exchange for something as low as a motorbike. And after that, they start developing medical issues. We saw one parent from, I think, Eldoret, who came out and said that the son is unable to do any hard task. And they're coming from humble backgrounds. So this is an issue that needs to be taken so seriously. The other day I saw the Kenyan government is trying to amend the law on organ trade, organ donations, where someone should consent. And we need to see under what circumstances someone consenting. Because right now, our economic situation as a country, we know it's really not.
And that is why we are speaking about it, because the situation is alarming right now. Do you think it's also a good initiative, because now you have 2 kidneys, you can just sell one and of course have a good price?
Okay, the fact that we all have 2 kidneys, it doesn't mean that you can effectively work with one. One of the donors came out and said that after remaining with 1 kidney, he was still unable to carry on with his day-to-day life. The mother has now to take care of him, just like a small kid. You know, it has some health effects in the end of the day. And actually, at what cost are you donating your kidney? We cannot donate a kidney simply because we want to solve our economic challenges back at home. We can only donate a kidney when our loved one is really in need of that kidney or any other organ, so that for their survival, not for business or transactional purposes.
All right. Nyanduga, good morning once more. I believe, of course, you've interacted with this story on the dailies, and I believe at this particular point, we're speaking about the situation on the health sector right here in the Republic. And the introductory towards MP Mishra's story and the organ trade is alarming in the situation that we're still speaking about sharp problems, medical health problems, health situations right in the Republic. And when we introduce to this, there's so much fear that is brought about to many other patients. You hear stories about your relatives have lost their lives. Then later on, stories are made that you do not know how they lost their lives. Do you think it's one of the initiatives that so many people are losing their lives in hospitals?
Yes, thank you. I'll say that as we speak now, if we were living in a democratic space, then ex-MP Mishra should be in jail.
Indeed.
In any civilization, we don't think of a situation whereby an ex-MP can carry out such a protracted kind of activity within the country without the help, the aid, and knowledge of top government officials.
Someone is supporting him.
Yes. In a serious medical setup, there is a serious certification and procedures to be followed before any medical surgery to be carried out. There must be certification. Both the recipient and the donor must sign in collaboration. When it comes to even organ transplant and export, we must have a serious intervention, because before the airport, before you export anything or you transplant anything, there must be a phytosanitary requirement. And which body has that mandate, constitutional mandate, to carry out this? KEBS has a constitutional mandate to do that. The Ministry of Health. And let me just tell you that one of this activity of Mishra is just one alongside many threats in our health system. We are living in a country, not once, not twice, but times without numbers. We've seen patients consuming even expired drugs. We've seen SHA not working. Even the patients are not even safe within hospital beds and compounds. The other day we saw a patient is being killed in the top hospital in the country. And this is not the first scenario. You remember the other one. So I think all these leaders, the so-called leaders in the health system, starting from the cabinet minister, down the pyramid to the director generals of this hospital, number one, they should be arrested and charged with murder, not just charged with other assault acts.
And because you're speaking about 476 kidney surgeries, and of course we have so many cases ahead of these transactions, do you think, Nyanduga, that someone was supporting ex-MP Mishra to activate this all the entire time? And why are we speaking about this now, despite the fact that this has been going on for quite some time?
I believe there must be a serious political figure behind ex-MP Mishra.
All right.
Mishra being a former MP, it means the guy is so much close to power.
Indeed.
Even if not in the article of power, but he must be living in the periphery of power.
All right.
You know, you cannot carry out, then remember the kind of hospital. It's one of the top medical institutions in the country, whether both public or private. As much as it's a private hospital, it's one of the top 10, in fact, one of the quality hospitals in the country. You cannot tell us something has been happening in Medihill. And remember, this is not the first time they're raising the volume on this. It was raised a few months ago. From that time it was raised up to now, the government has no longer, starting with DCI, has no longer told us, the people.
So do you think it's a deal gone wrong?
Yes, I believe it's a deal gone wrong. There must be someone who is so unsustainable in the compound. Maybe when it comes to payroll, maybe there was just a small disagreement within the row. But I believe this has been happening with the support of a top political class member.
Sawa sawa, hapa ndipo unasema kimeumana.
Yes.
All right. In the next few minutes, of course, now as we align the conversations today, Kiongozi Maobe, we were aligning a conversation in regards to the 2027 general elections. And even as we speak about that, there is now the situation on the 2027 office rush. If you look at the political arena, there are so many things that are happening. One of them is inclusive of the shift and the change. Many leaders tend to leave their parties to go and find secure places and leave to other parties. As we speak about that, why do you think so many leaders, so many parties are losing key leaders in the investments?
Moses, this draws back to 2024, when the young people of this country came out and said enough is enough. So there has been a political shake-up in this country. And the giant political parties that we've always known, the ODMs, the UDAs, they're facing major shifts because the public had always believed that these political parties had a role to play in the well-being of the country. But we've seen that politicians are self-centered, and people are trying to take advantage. Actually, there's a scramble for the Gen Z votes. Even all the happenings that are happening right now, we cannot really trust them. You know, someone like Edwin Sifuna coming out and starting now all of a sudden to say that we reject the broad-based government. Yet when the deal was being signed, he was right behind his party leader. You know, it makes us believe that these political parties are coming to, they're trying to reinvent themselves. They're trying to be up to date to the current needs, but it's really too late to do that. So the current political shifts, of course, we have by-elections coming up. And I saw DCP party leaders say that they're willing to field candidates in all the by-elections. But my advice to the opposition, also Jubilee was also trying to field candidates, especially in, there is a by-election in Central, is it Igembe or where? In Meru, Mbere North. They said that they're going, all of them, they're going to field candidates. I'd advocate for a united opposition so that we can counter this regime. This is a very brutal regime that if we go divided, we might not succeed. So the political realignments that we are seeing and the key political leaders, someone like Babu Owino coming out and saying that he's going to contest for Nairobi gubernatorial seat with or without the backing of his party, it tells you that there is a new political shift in the country and that the political class is trying to scramble for the support, especially of the Gen Zs.
So what is this political shift?
The political shift is there because, you know, the Kenyan people have a stand. As we are right now, we have a stand. And we know that the enemy is one. The enemy is William Ruto, and he has to go home. So anybody who is trying to go against the wishes of the people will be swept by the revolution. So some of them are trying to come out of their parties. For instance, ODM party is supporting this government. But we can see the youthful leaders inside the ODM party trying to get out of the party and come out clearly to show that they are with the people. And we saw people like Ndindi Nyoro, a very young person who was in the UDA party, is also trying to come out clear and trying to take a position which is neutral. He does not want to lean to any other political party. This shows you that they are after the support of the popular majority, who are the people.
All right. Earlier on, we ran a story about the UDA engagement, whereas as Maube had mentioned earlier, that some of them, the DCP party actually is willing to offer some spaces to this. And there is an insight that some of the leaders in the UDA party are also taking that move to maybe join DCP or any other party that will perhaps meet their feelings or their needs as well. So if you look at this situation, why do you think at this particular time and at this particular moment, people like Senator Sifuna once now looks like a rebel at the time when his own party is supporting the government, which is on the UDA party?
Yes, I think a political party is just a vehicle to help you reach your destination. And remember, in politics, an enemy of your enemy is your friend. So when we see this paradigm shift, we see some politicians moving from ODM faction to either Jubilee or Jubilee to DCP. And these people are not for the people. They are to serve their personal interest.
For themselves.
However, when it comes to some key political figures, they have changed within the day. The Kenya's 2027 political realignment and paradigm started last year, when we young people took it to the street. Very many leaders to date have tried to take the advantage of us demonstrating. But at the end of the day, the young people of this country had made up their mind. If enemy is one person, President William Ruto is to go home. And that is why we are talking about one term. Then, this is why we are seeing even some of the political figures, even within the government, moving from the government to the opposition side. Again, some of them from the opposition side moving from the opposition to the government. And talking about Edwin Sifuna's remarks the other day, I'll say that this is not the first time such is happening in ODM. Very many leaders, whether former allies or the current allies of Raila Amolo Odinga, have decreed times without numbers that living in ODM is like living in a shell, where you have no any other space for your democratic exercises. You remember the times of Ababu Namwamba as the SecGen of ODM. He decreed on the same, that as an individual or as the Congress of the party, you may have a decision. But now Raila Amolo Odinga, as the leader of the party, again, he may have a personal decision now. Then now, when the two decisions intertwines, then the party will move into the same direction.
All right. If you guys knew that these leaders are embracing themselves, why then did you go to the streets?
We took it to the streets not to impress these leaders, remember that. When we took it to the street, we were talking about education. We were talking about agriculture and health. So when you see these people talking about this, it's only that they have learned the language of the people. They have realized what we want, and they're trying to lure us, and they won't succeed. And when I see Senator Edwin Sifuna talking about this, remember the Secretary General of any political party is the official spokesperson of the party. If he believes that the country is heading into a wrong direction, he can do the just work of resigning from being the SecGen of ODM and joining on the side of the people, either as an independent candidate or he forms another party. And he believes that we are moving into the right direction, despite Raila's maybe attempts or maybe having a positive or a negative thought of this. Then I think with his position, he's in a position and influence to just sit down with the party leader and to tell him the just truth and move out of the faction between and the pact between UDA and ODM.
But as it seems at this particular moment, yes, he is the Secretary General of ODM party, and therefore there's so much engagement and so much power that he has. But in the recent encounters that we've seen Edwin Sifuna right at the heart of conversations and the political spaces, there is now a question that is asked. Do you think that Edwin Sifuna is a rebel of the ODM party, or is just but Raila's puppet?
You know, Raila has been in politics for a long time now. And when Raila went to government, he realized that there's the popular majority, actually the majority of the people. This is the most unpopular handshakes he has had in the history of this country. Now, Raila trying to send the young Turks. The other day, before Edwin Sifuna made those remarks, there was a launch of the captains with, I think, captains with Raila or what, the young student leaders who met at Orange House. So this is just a scramble for the Gen Z votes. Raila Odinga knows very well that his marriage with William Ruto is so unpopular. So what he's trying to do is sending the youthful politicians to come and, you know, speak what the people want to hear and try at least to make the party relevant to the people. As the other old guards are in government trying to do what? To do what they are doing best. So it's Raila Odinga speaking. The leader of a party, especially ODM party. Let me speak about ODM.
So you're speaking through Sifuna?
Yeah, I've been a member of ODM party, and we've worked with the Sifunas. Let me tell you, if Raila Odinga does not want something in the ODM party, it cannot happen. Raila Odinga is the party leader. He has not denounced what Edwin Sifuna said. He has not summoned him. The party, actually, the CEO of ODM, said that they will not take any action against Edwin Sifuna. So this is just, you know, it's just this is a game plan. They are trying to hoodwink the people and trying to show that, of course, we are, you know, we might join you later. So it's all about the party stand, the principles of the organization as ODM. They've really been compromised. ODM was known as a party that was championing for the voice of the voiceless. But right now, ODM has become a tool of self-enrichment. And that is what we need to call out. We need an opposition that is sober, an opposition that is not a flip-flop, an opposition that sticks to the principles and the commitments that it meant to the people. So Edwin Sifuna is a mouthpiece of Raila Odinga, and that was Raila Odinga speaking. Because in ODM, even before you go for an interview like the one Edwin Sifuna went to, you must consult the party leader. And the party leader has to give instructions.
But they say that he never consulted. That was his own speech.
No, that is just what he's saying. But as the party, what has the party leader done? If you know, let me tell you.
What has Raila done?
What has Raila done about it? He's so quiet. So that means he has consented it. Silence means you comply.
All right. So that means that the Monanchi shouldn't be fooled towards the encounters in the political space, and thereby they should be stand by and awakened every time.
Actually, Moses, this is what we are doing in this country. We are fighting for economic liberation.
Right.
And in the struggle for economic liberation, this kind of divisive kind of politics that we are seeing should not be applying. You know, there is no tribe, there is no religion in fight for the economic liberation. So what the political class is doing, they're just trying to distract us. You know, Raila Odinga is trying to reinvent himself through Edwin Sifuna coming back to the people and trying to impose like, okay, I made a mistake. You know, he will come last minute with higher. Now we've taken another stand. So the people should not lose focus. We, the people, should not lose focus. We should be determined. Right now, we are seeing reports, saddening reports of capitation. You know, the government has slashed capitation from 26,000 to 16,000 for high school students. You know, the rates of dropouts, dropping out of schools are really high. So these are the kind of issues that we should not lose focus on. We should remain steadfast, and we make sure that we push the government to deliver their mandate to the people.
All right. Well said and done. Of course, Raila to attend Kakamega County ODM Delegates Conference at the Golf Hotel today. And of course, also we're expecting the engagement on engagement on as far as the political space is concerned. And of course, we're also expecting a raft on the by-election, and so many parties are coming in line as far as the DCP, UDA, and ODM party. Let's wait and see how the by-elections will take charge, and right here, even as we embrace the political arena in the best way possible. When we come back, we'll have more alignment. Don't go too far.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
But you do not know the God who has been molding me. What has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying. You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu, kwa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji. All right, welcome back. You're watching the morning drift right here on Look Up Television, and of course we are having the conversation on the engagement about some of the happenings in the political space. And even as we come to the divided ends of all this, there is now the by-elections issue. Of course, it's also part of the consideration towards elevating the better tomorrow ahead of the 2027 general elections. And of course, the Democracy of the Citizens Party, DCP, has nominated 2 candidates. Now, of course, we will contest in upcoming by-elections to fill vacant representative seats. And of course, the party has nominated lawyer Edgar Busiega to vie for the Malava parliamentary seat in Kakamega County, and Aden Mohammed for the Banisa constituency in the Mandera County. According to the party, it has already registered more than 1.8 million Kenyans in just 2 months since its launch. Of course, even as we speak about that, there is also, we were just clearing the airwaves as far as story Eden Sifuna is concerned, and earlier on you mentioned something very challenging about if the party leader knew that this is going to happen. Of course, at this particular moment, Raila would have engaged. But even as you speak about that, why do you think that the same thing to what Mob has mentioned? Indeed, we can't hide the fact that ODM has joined its waves with the UDA party. But there's also a point of consideration here. When we're embracing the fact that the two parties are aligning, yet there is one person in that particular party that sounds like a rebel. But still the nation is moving on and the political spaces are moving on. The leaders are still in their own spaces and they're marveling to what is happening. They'll say this and they say that. But the Mwananchi now keeps on going to the streets, protesting about, the leaders are doing this and that. When we speak about that, what do you think is the alarming situation right here in the country's political space?
Yes, I think both the ODM and the UDA faction must remember two things. Number one, they must remember power is fleeting and temporary. The second thing they must remember is that politics is a product. It has specific utility and timeline. To say this, majority of the leaders within the two parties, in fact, they have outlived their usefulness. Their usefulness in the sense that when you have a look at a party like ODM, to say the truth, it is being, majority of these individuals who are elected on ODM party, they represent the old generation. Today we have a new generation. Whatever is happening in the country, even if some of them are coming out now to criticize the government, so some of them are within the government and criticizing the government. They just want to gain the public sympathy so that we can see. And remember that part of this mess, because Edwin Sifuna was there at the KICC when there was an agreement between ODM and the UDA. If he was against this, then that was the same pulpit he would have used, in fact, to criticize that. On the side of UDA, I saw the other day President Ruto saying he'll go home when the right time comes and whatever. I believe that is true. He will go home when the right time comes, which is probably in 2027. Before that, we had him again saying...
You think so? You think it's 2027?
Yes, I think it's 2027 because, number one, you remember some of them saying, in fact, you remember this Langata MP, Jalango, was saying very well, President William Ruto has a probability of winning the election again. However, the opposition side has a probability of doing what? Maybe having majority of the MPs and senators. So when we have a situation like this, this tells you that the ODM and the UDA faction, remember just like our friend said, this is the most unpopular handshake since Kenya regained its independence. That tells you our political leaders are on one side, and we the people, we are on another side.
Do you think that is the same thing that now former DP Rigathi Gachagua says that President William Ruto is confused?
Yes. In fact, President William Ruto is not only confused, but confused to the core. For the first time in history, there are some of the key ministries which do, in fact, influence the country's growth and development. The Agriculture Ministry, the Health Ministry, Education and Security. Any serious government which wants to develop and to empower its people, have a look at the Kenyan economy. The Kenyan economy is growing, yes, but for whom is the economy growing? Is it growing for business people? Is it growing for politicians and tycoons? Or is it growing for the local Mwananchi?
Right.
As per me, the Kenyan economy is growing at macro economy level, where we are talking about increase in GNP and increase in GDP, which do not totally reflect to the change of lives of the local Mwananchi. If President William Ruto was serious about changing the country's economy, then he would have ensured that the agriculture sector is far much developed to ensure that we can feed ourselves. You cannot be free if somebody is feeding you. Have a look at the kind of our hospitals. He wants to use 1.2 billion shillings. You tell me how many classrooms can 1.2 billion shillings build in Taita Taveta, in Turkana and Garissa, where we see people, in fact, students are learning under the trees, even in extreme weather conditions. How many hospital beds can 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings purchase? How many acreage of land can 1.2 billion shillings irrigate. So this tells you that the faction, and I agree with Gachagua, when you say the president is so much confused, we are seeing a government which is only interested, in fact, in buying guns, in doing whatever to do with artillery, ensuring our security sector, we increase the servicemen. But remember, we do have some of the countries even without military. For example, Japan. Japan today is in top 3 of the largest economies of the world, but do they have a military? No. That tells you that what a country needs is a strong education system, a strong health system, and agriculture system.
All right.
And through that, we shall be somewhere.
So Mambe, talk to us about now the vision of this by-election. And of course, I'm seeing Raila Odinga will kickstart a countrywide consultation with the grassroots leaders. You know, this is coming at a time now we are embracing the by-elections in the clear manner. So will you perhaps give us your opinion as far as the by-elections are concerned?
This is the first time since the revolution started. We are headed to the ballot, and this will be like a litmus paper to show what exactly the people need. I want to associate the current happenings in the country, especially from the opposition parties and those parties inside the government, to trying to gauge themselves in these by-elections and try to actually come up with a strategy on how maybe they should approach the next elections, which is in 2027. These by-elections, the people will come out well. I believe, especially in the opposition zones, the DCP party, especially in Igembe, DCP party and Jubilee party, their internal wrangles, I don't know how we are going to solve that, but the people will come out and they will decide in these by-elections, and bearing the fact that there are defections from the government side to the opposition, it really tells you, it mirrors in what we expect in the result of the upcoming by-elections. Raila Odinga is headed to Kakamega. He's going there for a delegates meeting. I think there is a plan to try and strengthen the party from the grassroots level. And that's why maybe these utterances like for Sifuna and so on, they're coming out during this time when we are approaching a by-election or an election. Yeah, we are just 25 months away from elections, the main elections. So I think they are trying to gauge the waters and they're trying to see which side of the divide gets the most support. Is it Edwin Sifuna's side or is it the Pondo Kaluma?
So at no point will Edwin Sifuna leave that office?
No. Edwin Sifuna is there to test the waters.
Balance the ball.
He's just there to, they're playing with people's emotions. They want to, they know very well that during the June 25th, regardless of the political party, young people united. And ODM lost young people, to the revolution. And now they're trying to regain them back from the captains of wherever. And right now we are talking about Sifuna playing with the emotions of young people and trying to tell them, Sifuna was so eloquent and he was so prepared for that interview in pinpointing the failures of this government. I wonder. He was so exact, So he was trying to read the people's mind and telling the people what they wanted to hear. Sifuna has Raila's number, calling him and telling him these things in private. Why don't they discuss such things in private and come up with a decision? So as a political party, you can't tell us that you just, you have dissenting opinions in public, but in private you sit together and you say that I'm here to serve the party. If the party does not serve the people, ODM is a beneficiary of the protest in the streets. All the rights that they are trying to limit right now, without these constitutional rights, I'm telling you, ODM will not be a party right now. And Sifuna will not be a leader in this country. But you can't tell us that all of a sudden now Sifuna has become so clever. He's coming to the public and telling us what he cannot tell his boss in private.
Indeed, you're right. Even as you deliberate on that, of course, you remember the engagement where Sifuna also was addressing Honorable Raila Odinga and President William Ruto, and thereby there seemed to be a clash where President William Ruto made statements. If you want to deal with stories related to me, you must be very careful, because I am the president. I'm one of the founders of our ODM party. And even as we speak about that, and Maub is saying that this is strategical, why then do we have to do this, and why do we have to let the Mwananchi suffer?
Yes, I believe those are just political chess games. The ODM party is afraid of the people. They have realized, being the major beneficiary of Gen Z revolution, at the end of the day, they don't wield the power to own the people.
Indeed.
So I think Raila Amolo Odinga wants now to join the people. So when you say Raila, I remember after the handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila came with this strategy whereby he was saying that I now want to meet grassroots leaders, to listen to them so that I can understand what the people want.
Strategical.
I believe Raila's just realized UDA government is a sinking ship. So at the end of the day, he wants to come back to the people. So he knows very well, should he just come today live and tell Kenyans I've ditched President William Ruto and now I'm sidelining with the people, then there will be a problem. His experts, the so-called expert is sent to the UDA government, will be ripped off the job, and there will be a scathing clash. But now he wants to do it in a very bright manner. Though, you know, Raila thinks that he's the only clever person. Raila has used the same tactic and expect the new result. Every time he's using the same method. Every time he joins the government, when he wants to come out, when he has realized that he has now reaped enough benefit, now the people are against him, he comes with a strategy whereby saying that I want now to meet the grassroots leaders. Who are the grassroots leaders if they're not the people who took it to the street last year? Raila was there, and I believe if he was not there, he was now watching the television. He listened to what these people want. Now, what's the importance of meeting the grassroots leaders if he can realize and listen to their voices over the radio, over the TV? And I think for the by-election, and today he's going to meet grassroots leaders in Kakamega. In fact, it's very funny and good at the same time to see 30 candidates for Malava parliamentary seat. It shows that Kenya is a democratic and multi-party pluralistic country. However, there is a problem with the by-elections. Remember that the other day, the Ethecon team, the IEBC was sworn in. All of these independent, all these institutions and commissions you see calling themselves independent commissions in this country, they are not independent. You know why? Constitutionally, we are being told the president has an influence in appointing the members of the commissions to vet the persons to be appointed, you know, to be the chair of IEBC and other commissioners. If I am a candidate, I have a constitutional mandate to appoint you to form part of the commission who is going to vet the referee. What do I expect? I think when the so-called Raila and other leaders are talking about constitutional changes moving towards the future, they must come up with a clear plan and indication which is going to rip off this function and responsibility from the presidential delegate. And now, the IEBC conduct with this by-election will be a major determinant of the success of the general election coming 2027.
All right. And since you're a student leader, of course, now let's a little bit embrace about a conversation about the Kibaki's dream. The Treasury, right here in the government, states that the government is not in a position or cannot afford free education for primary and secondary schools. With very few words, of course, we'll allow also Mobi to give his statements. What will be your take on this, perhaps, affordability, education? What really happened?
The first thing I'll say is that I condemn such statements. Reducing capitation to our secondary schools from 22,000 to 16,000 means thousands of students will drop out of school. The other day you had a certain rumor, and I believe you had it, about there is a probability of parents now paying for the national exams. You had it. This means, again, millions of Kenyans won't be in a position to go past primary education. And remember how expensive the education system in Kenya has become. As a student and a student leader at the same time, there is this government project which has been pulled by politicians. It's called a new funding model. New funding model isn't working at all. I'm a student, and I'll tell you for the fact. I know of thousands of students deferring their education every year just because of new funding model.
Indeed.
For instance, I'm a student at JKUAT. Some of the courses go up to 612,000 Kenya shillings per year. You tell me, if you are a student from a poor background, then now you have been represented, you have been presented a check, or you know a fee structure, 612,000. Then the government is telling you, let me now pay for you 200,000. You have been placed in this band. The fact that your uncle is an MP doesn't mean your uncle is paying for your school fee. The fact that your mother is an employee, maybe a nurse, doesn't mean your mother is in a position to pay this 612,000. Remember, we do have some of the facts and fabrics in the education system. There's some of the factors to consider. When the government is telling us, we cannot afford this, Kibaki and Uhuru, they were doing it, right? At that time, the Kenya's GDP and the Kenya's economy was not that much large as compared to now. What President Ruto has done with the education system is that they are increasing the capitation to Ministry of Education. But the amount of money they're increasing is not directly proportional to the amount, to the number of students, expected to join the institutions now. For instance, there is increase in the number of students who are supposed to join university by September. When we have an increase of 50,000 students joining university, then you increase the amount you are now sending to the universities by 500 million. Is it directly proportional to this number? Not at all. When it comes to high school, again the same thing. You increase the amount, but not proportional to the number of students expected to join. And remember, there is one thing in any kind of civilization. The future of the country is in the hands of the youth. When you enlighten and brighten the youth, then the country has a good future. The government wants several people not to be literate, so that they can control us easily. And remember, this has been used in several contemporary countries. Where they want to control you, they'll first control your brain.
Indeed. I think Nyandugi is speaking so much passionate about this engagement education, and it comes out very clear the situation is alarming. But you are a student, of course, in school, but let's listen to the voice of the streets. You studied long time ago before many of us were born, and right about now, even as you speak about this, you understanding the elevation, or now you did the free education, right? Yes. So coming at a point that the government can't afford this, where does that place the state of education right here in the Republic?
Thank you, Moses. We are 5 years into the Vision 2030 that the ODM and the PNU government gave us in, was it back in 2010? I think, yeah. We are 5 years into it. And one of the core, or rather the backbone of that Vision 2030 was education. Because education helps us to get skilled labor. So without this education, we'll have to be forced to, to import labor. And it happened here in Kenya. There's a time we imported doctors from Cuba.
Indeed.
Sometimes back I went to Mbagathi Hospital and there was a Cuban doctor. I was wondering, why don't we have doctors in Kenya? Besides that, we have a report indicating that we've lost billions in the education sector through the NEMIS registration. We have ghost schools that are being allocated money. These ghost schools do not exist. And we don't have a clear budgeting. Actually, there is no clear framework for allocation of funds from the Ministry of Education to the schools. So it's very saddening. And again, we are talking, at a time that the president is promising to create millions of jobs. He's still promising, Even the other day he was speaking, he was saying, come up with a better plan. Because if you think you have a better plan than we do, come up with yours. And we are talking about a country where you are reducing capitation. What was the intention of this capitation? It was to cushion the students from the humble backgrounds. We have the classification, there's classism happening in this country. Moses, you can bear me witness that most parents in this country, they keep their children in school, not because they are wealthy. They keep their children in school simply because they see it as a priority. They see it as a way of getting from the, the economic pit where they are right now. Your parents will sell all their belongings, they'll sell their cattle, they'll sell the land, they will sell everything to invest in you as a person. So the biggest investment we have in this country from our parents, it's ourselves. And the education that they try to give unto us. William Ruto is a beneficiary of education. He claims to have come from a humble background. He's where he is today because of education. Education is the greatest equalizer. I have siblings in school, and I'm also affected in this. So all I can say is that this kind of economic oppression, it's designed to keep the majority of Kenyans in poverty. Because the fact that you are making education very expensive for the poor, it simply means that you are stealing the future of this country from them. We've borrowed this country from the future generations. Why can't we give it back to them better than they gave it to us? So in the education sector, we should not even negotiate. This is something that we need to sit down. We can come up with approaches. We can even take the government to court. You can't tell us that you have, State House, the Ministry of Defense, they're the largest beneficiaries of the budget. But education, you're giving it as if, it's not a priority. If all these kids who are in school today, Moses, come home and there's no one attending school, there will be a lot of lawlessness in this country. So President William Ruto has to be told straight to his face. Raila Odinga, his co-president, has to be told to the face that education is not something that we need to gamble with. Education is something that must stand, and we need free education. The Constitution of Kenya guarantees every child free education, free and quality education. It has to be free. Yeah.
All right, it has to be free, and of course, if you look at the screen, shock on hospital murder cover-up, and of course, over the past 5 months, the country has been rocked by a chilling pattern of unexplained deaths occurring within the hospital waves, and facilities that should be sanctuaries of healing have now become scenes of horror. Susan Joki, Kamagere, this story, if you saw that story online, indeed it's traumatizing. But even as we come to an end of this conversation, so I'd give you just some few minutes. We have 2 minutes to wind up this session. We start with Nyanduga. What is the best statement now, even as we go to the weekend, with very few words? Just at least one word.
Yes,
what is the last statement?
That the Dale Carnegie Leadership Schools teaches us that you must start imagining yourself on a retirement date. And President Ruto himself must start imagining how will the future generation treat him after retirement. You cannot bribe the future generation. History will be spoken the way it is. Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Mine is simple. It's just to tell Kenyans to be together, to be united, not to lose focus, especially during these trying times. We have to put our nation forward. And we must see ourselves as Kenyans before we see ourselves as individuals first. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Asante sana kiongozi for making this happen. And it's such an honor and a success. Asante sana buena. It's nice to have you this morning. Happy weekend. And of course, more happy weekends. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, even as we come to the bottom line of this engagement, it's a Friday vibe now. As we engage to more other conversations, we will be heading to Entertainment Friday, of course, engaging the Africa's Got Talent right here at Look Up Television. And of course, remember the conversation still run across all our social media platforms, that is on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Of course, if you have any questions, any comments, send us your feedback in those platforms. And of course, also we have our website, www.lookuptv.co.ke, and I believe, of course, our Gmail is working as well, lookuptv@gmail.com. You can send us your feedback or your opinions, your comments right there, so as we can create an engaging conversation with you, our audience, because we are doing this just for you. So in the next few minutes, we'll be having this alignment, but earlier on, and of course next week, we'll be having other different conversations in related matters as far as the current affairs right here in the Republic of Kenya is concerned. Allow me now to wind up this session. Of course, thank you so much for coming. Happy weekend. Tuonane kwa hiyo set ingine.